official. Give me 1 second to actually confirm this. I always get nervous. Oh, we are very much live. Welcome to the first ever Beers with Brodie. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
Oh, this is great. I mean, in these times, there's only so many things you can do with other people, but I thought this would be an awesome way to connect with a bunch of people on Twitter. If you're just tuning in and figuring out what is this, I've had this idea for many years to get together with people I know from social media. Now, people I know, right? I feel like I know all of you, but that's what tonight's is all about, to actually get to know you. So I'm starting with 10 people that maybe are more familiar to me. If you wanted to get in on this, and I didn't invite you the first time, don't worry, because I have a really good feeling that we're going to be doing a lot more of these and meeting some friends on social media. So let's just go around the horn. You can see all 10 people here. Actually 11, because Christina has a special guest, which we'll get to in a second. But maybe in order, because Will is top left and because he's got like a broadcasting background. Let's begin with Will. So introduce yourself, maybe a little plug. Give us the background, Will.
All right. I'm Will McNeil. I'm known on social media and probably all over the place as Right Field Will, thanks to Ray Fosse, R.I.P., who I miss dearly.
Yeah.
I think we all know. Giving me a hard time on telecast every once in a while. Just turned 38 years old, go to a lot of A's games, Sharks games, do PA announcing for the Stockton Ports on the side, and work in the hotel industry when I'm in about 5 other jobs on top of that, too, just to try to survive and live here in the Bay Area and pay for my sports habit.
And tell us about your shirt.
Last sidebar, Casey Pratt, baby. Gotta rock with Casey Pratt.
Never thought that somebody I know as a good friend was at my wedding would be wearing you'd be wearing a shirt of him on a live stream on YouTube several years later. Anyway, that's awesome.
I just thought it'd be funny to wear his shirt on your stream. We don't have one yet. We got to fix that though. Last sidebar, get on it.
We basically look the same. People will mistake us anyway. And I you know what I should have said about you, Will? A person who really needs no introduction on social. Like you're all over the place, so you didn't really need that. But I'm glad. Thank you for the introduction. And I do want to talk more about the hotel industry later. I imagine in 2020 and 21 that's been interesting, huh?
Let's just say I'm bald for a reason.
Well, I'm turning gray for a reason, and he's a 4-year-old son of mine. That's why I'm turning gray. Aaron, you're next. Welcome. I don't have as much of a background with you, so if you would, what is the story?
Yeah. So, hey, everybody. I'm Aaron Castellanos. I live here in the Bay Area, in Alameda, to be exact. I'm married and I have a 6-year-old, and I think the whole reason my marriage works is because my husband is a huge A's fan. And that just sort of like brought us together. We disagree on many other things, except for that. I was telling everybody earlier, I've been an A's fan since we moved to California in 1985. My parents are New Yorkers. My dad flat out refused to be Giants fans because his heart was broken when they left New York all those years ago. So by default, A's fan. And then I picked up hockey during COVID, and I've really enjoyed watching it. I didn't realize how quickly you could really get into hockey. And I feel like my hockey education, because I've had nothing else to do except for sit at home, has just like escalated through the roof. Like I feel like a pro now. I'm on Twitter and I'm like, getting in those conversations, my own little hockey fight.
Good for you.
Tweeting it out. So, yeah.
You said earlier that your 6-year-old got some mini sticks for Christmas or something like that?
He got his first set of mini sticks for Christmas, and that has been an adventure. We've not broken anything too important yet, but he needs to learn not to high stick. Let's just say that.
Oh, watch out. I don't want to make this reference drugs, kids, that's wrong, but like mini sticks are the gateway drug to hockey, right? Like that opens the door to like, hey, this is pretty fun. I totally get it.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Very cool.
Great.
And you live on an island technically. I mean, you said Alameda, but you live on an island. Most of us here don't. So that's pretty cool. All right. The next person I'm actually very familiar with, IRL. I think that means in real life. To me, he's Uncle Darren Stevens. Darren, introduce yourself. Tell us what you do. A lot of people are familiar with your work. I'm just going to say that.
Thank you, Brodie. So, yeah, I am a San Jose native all the way preschool to San Jose State University, and I've worked in Bay Area sports media since 1992. I interned with the Oakland A's. Last 20 years, my work has been pretty much the San Francisco Giants and the San Jose Sharks. So if you're watching the games, I'm the person that, one of the people on those shows that puts the graphics on the screen and the stats and that kind of stuff. And I have a Twitter account that if I can't get it on the air, I'll try to get it on my Twitter account. But that's what I bring to this conversation, is more or less my stats background. If you guys want to talk some stuff about Sharks hockey, A's baseball, I know there's a lot of A's fans here. That's fine. I'm pretty well versed in those things. I mean, just last night, of course, the one time we don't do the game, it's on ESPN Plus, another network. It's an 8-7, fire wagon hockey game that went off the rails. It would have been so much fun to work. But anyway, I was going nuts on Twitter with some of the stuff they were doing last night. So that's my background.
2 goals in 7 seconds, right? Which was then a big debate. Was it a record? Was it not?
Yeah, but there were 2 different notes, and unfortunately, I cited the wrong one first, and then I went and looked again, and a newer version of the media guide, and it was correct. It was 7 seconds, so it was the second time that happened. But
I mean, Darren, the realistic part of that, though, is you have to find something interesting in literally 5 seconds. And credit to you for double checking that. But I mean, I know the hard part of your job is to come up with something relevant and accurate in literally seconds. And it's amazing how often you do it. Here's my question, and maybe there's no answer. How do you do it so fast? What's your trick to coming up with something? Is it straight from the brain, or do you have other resources?
Oh God, no, not this brain, especially now. But no, I mean, we have access to their stats services, and especially now with the internet. When I first started, it was newspapers. You look, try to find something. Now it's like there's different sites, various sites, subscription sites. NBC Bay Area provides us with access to certain, so you just need to know where you can get that information. And it's just like having done it like muscle memory over the years, like I know that site will have it, or that media guide will show, something like that. You just know.
Got it. So where to find it is probably your biggest trick.
Yeah.
And then you utilize it. That's
super
awesome.
important to that, and that'll get you there faster.
Awesome. Well, I can't wait to talk a little bit more about that later. Hey, Grant, I don't know you in real life, or I don't think I've met you in person. So what's the story, and what's the beer shelf behind you?
Yeah, Grant Farrington. I live in Concord. Been in the Bay Area for about 9 years now, and work in urban planning. Been an A's fan for about 6. We spoke briefly before we went live, but I was saying that seeing the fans, seeing the uniforms, kind of being ingratiated with the culture, it was infectious, and I loved it. And then I love Sharks too, through my extended family, but they're not my first hockey love. My first hockey love was the Atlanta Thrashers, but a lot of things exist, so it was easy to adopt the Sharks, without feeling like I was betraying anybody.
Grant, I got to stop you. I can't believe you actually admitted that. Like I was like, oh, he's going to say Montreal, he's going to say Toronto, he's going to say Boston, Rangers, whatever, and then you went Atlanta Thrashers. Like they haven't even existed.
Because I'm a new hockey fan, and even I knew that was like.
Made me understand firsthand how lousy ownership of a sport. Still, get very agitated thinking about that ownership group to this day, and they haven't existed in over a decade.
Grant, do you actually own a Thrashers jersey still, or hat, or anything?
No, and I was actually debating, because also some of the gear is particularly hard to find these days.
Yeah,
they don't make it anymore. But several years back, I debated about getting an Evander Kane Thrashers jersey, because that was his first team played with, and when he came with the Sharks, like, oh, that'd be a good connection. And I've since backed off of that idea.
What a long journey it's been for Evander, and also for the Thrashers, the former Thrashers. Awesome. Mm-hmm. I can't wait to chat more with you, Grant. Ron, now out of all the people here, right, I go back the longest with you, so I'm only worried because you might have the beans to spill on me here. So, like, of all the people, I really want to be careful of. Man, how are you?
I'm good, but I could definitely ruin your run for presidency.
Yeah. Good thing I won't be a politician, but man,
cash me out.
Yeah,
we go back to the 90s.
I know, right? Do you take Venmo, by the way, as we talk?
Oh yeah, cash me out. Brodie was actually when I met Brodie, we were still doing analog, and Brodie was the first cat that had digital, and he had it at his house, which made him a rock star.
He had just stop right there. He had digital. Think how old we sound.
We still had pagers.
No, we did. Now we're live. Now we're live streaming here on YouTube, Ron. It's 2021.
In your man shed.
Man shed. So,
That
hey,
is dope.
Give me the background, man. You still are local in the area?
I'm in Tracy.
Okay.
These days.
And what do you do? What are you doing these days?
I work for the Sheriff's Department, Alameda County Sheriff's Department.
Okay.
And also do financial services. So if anybody's looking for somewhere to park their money.
See, no wonder you drop that in there. Yeah, no, and that's the other thing. I told you guys before, any plugs you have, any things you want to share about yourself, what you do, who you are, please do it. So Ron, you weren't joking though. You and we met at San Jose State in the whole broadcast journalism department. It was a totally different beast back then. I'll be honest. I mean, you've obviously gotten into different things in life. I'm surprised I never did too. This whole journey, this whole industry has taken some twists and turns. So, but you were definitely interested in it back in the day. Huh?
I was, but I didn't have the foresight like you when you got into high school sports focus and stayed local. I heard all the horror stories about moving to South Dakota and New Mexico and having to make $8 an hour, and get 1,000-hour tape, in order to come back to the Bay Area, which is the top 5 market. Yeah. And I wasn't trying to do that. Too many girls out here.
He's just being honest. Isn't that crazy though? Like, for a lot of people who were schooled in wanting to get into media, that was the big intimidation factor. Like, hey, hope you enjoy your career. Start in Idaho, and maybe if you're lucky, you get to come back. I always thought that was crappy,
Mm-hmm. And had I just thought about it a little bit more, because my resume tape was pretty good. Darla didn't let us come out with bad resume tapes. Everybody,
that's right.
Everybody had to rock out, or you didn't make it. So I think I could have, but life happened.
I hear you.
3 kids later, twin girls and a 6-year-old boy.
Oh man,
life is pretty great now too.
How do you like being a dad? It
is great and exhausting.
I only have one. He's 4, and I'm with you. How old are your twin girls?
4.
Oh, so you have you said 6 and two 4-year-olds? Man, that's a lot.
Nonstop.
That's a lot going on, man.
So when people say, "What are you doing?" I just refereeing.
Ron, man, I can't wait to chat more with you a little bit later on. All right, Jeff, you're up next. I have to say, I'm a connoisseur of the audio visual setups. You've got, obviously, you have Howard Terminal in the background, which gets me excited, but I notice your audio sounds really good. So introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm Jeff. It says Jeff August Ego Trip, so I'm going to tell everybody right off the bat. First thing everybody needs to know about me is that I was born in the shadow of 3 World Series trophies in Oakland, California, in 1975. But I'm also the poster child for ADHD. So during the day, I'm a technologist. I've worked at a lot of companies that you guys have all heard of, and some of which I'm embarrassed to admit that I worked for at this point, Facebook. But I also own a comic book company, voltagecomics.com, and I have published 2 novels, Inside the Lamar Incident and Kingdoms Wrought with Steel. You can find them on your local Amazon shop. And then I also am a singer-songwriter. Before I met my wife, I signed a record deal a record that never came out. So eventually I just got back to it, making my own stuff, which is why I have cool audio gear. And so you can find on your streaming service of choice, just search Jeff August Ego Trip, and there's, I think, 40 songs that I've released. And this Sunday, a song that a friend of mine and I put together called Sunday will be released on all of those same platforms under the band name Bright Tree Village, which is a Star Wars reference, if anybody's wondering and watching Book of Boba Fett. That's actually the village where the Ewoks lived in Return of the Jedi. So, and
your facial hair is called what? Because you shared a little bit.
The beard is called the bilbow because it goes along the jawline, and the mustache is called an imperial stash.
Look at Will. Will is so interested. He's cracking another one. Is that your second beer already, Will?
Maybe.
I guess
it's a drink for me.
I guess it is plural beers with Brodie. By the way, this is a Chuck's Double IPA from Danville Brewing, one of my favorites.
So what are you drinking, Will?
It's from Fall River Brewing Company. It's their Christmas pack. I'm drinking a Snow and Tail Pilsner from
Nice.
Fall River Brewing in Reading.
I'm drinking Celestial Seasons Bengal Spice, which is tea. So
Hey, you're doing better than me, so that's all right.
There's I believe a coffee and tea expert, which we'll be getting to in the near future here on this actual panel. But Jeff, let me ask you this. So I mean, you create so much.
Right.
Sound audio, visual, but writing a book. Is that what you said? A novel? 2 novels?
Yeah, 2. So one is it's about 660 pages, called Inside the Lamar Incident, and I actually wrote this in 2008. So I want you guys to understand this is like, I wrote a story about what would happen to a small town that got cut off from the rest of the world because of a pandemic.
Oh my gosh!
Wow.
And so
He called it. He called it. That's I bet you look at that book differently now. That's crazy. But is a book harder to do than the audio visual stuff? To me, this comes a little bit more natural. It's maybe, you can see it easier, but a book is like revision after revision after.
it takes a long time.
Yeah. I would imagine
Yeah.
so. Well, that's
especially 600 pages. The other book that I wrote, actually, just on a personal side, is that my wife and I separated for a period of time. Which is why I'm drinking tea. And during that period of time, when we decided we were going to get back together, I started to write a letter to her to kind of explain, why I was delighted that things were going the way they were going. And I started to write, turned out to be like a fantasy novel. And I ended up writing a 12-chapter book, publishing it for her. So that's out there.
off of that original letter?
Yeah, it started as a letter. It turned into a
Wow. Well,
400-page book, but
I can't even think about it like a 14-page essay for college still, and 400 pages. And like I said, that's an amazing commitment of time and effort. So awesome.
yeah, I talk too much. That's what it comes down to.
I like the way it sounds. Like I said, I'm a connoisseur of that. Christina, welcome. First off, and who's your friend, by the way?
This is my partner, Jim. So thank you for letting me
Hi, Jim.
include him as well.
How's it going?
I think we both met you at the same time, long time ago, in front of the tank. So
Yeah.
and then so for background, born in San Jose, grew up there for up until all through high school and everything, and we currently live in Oakland. I'll have to admit, hockey wasn't really prevalent in my life until he came around. It's always been there. Like, I look back at old photos of when I was growing up, and I would see myself wearing like the Looney Tunes and Sharks collaboration t-shirts, which I wish my parents kept, because I would totally rock that these days.
They should remake those, honestly. I feel like
really
those would
should.
still work. They'd still work.
It was Tasmanian Devil and Bugs Bunny.
Yeah.
So I wish they still had that. So hopefully pull some strings, Brodie, like that as a future collaboration. So how actually you and I kind of casually met was through our love of coffee from my former employer, and actually where he still works. So you have 2 coffee and tea experts here too. So
Yes, you were. I don't know if I'm supposed to reference them or not, but you were very kind in sending us some samples once in a while. We would talk about it on TV, and it was, nothing official. Like, it was a nice little partnership. I still enjoy the product, by the way. I still do. So.
It was really entertaining, and then to see both you and Brownie kind of like, I can see how like you both like divvy up, and also to make sure that you shared the love, so one person didn't get really jealous over the other, because I knew that probably would get pretty messy behind the cameras. So, but yeah, we can always still do the samples.
Brownie and I, to this day, we drink so much coffee during those hockey games, and he usually makes the pot right as soon as the pregame show's done. And he puts you're supposed to put in the little setup, we have 1 bag, right? And you're supposed to put 1 bag in the drip machine. He puts 2 bags in there because we like dirt. We like to taste dirty, black, dark coffee. So I would say it's probably the only thing we have in common, is that we like our coffee as dirty and dark as possible. So.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that. And then makes me wonder if I actually sent you guys enough back in the day. But,
no, it was enough to get hooked. It was definitely enough to get hooked. So,
well, it's in the bottom of SAP, right?
Oh yeah, it's now available at the SAP Center.
Just so you know.
The coffee is.
Yeah.
Yes.
Nice.
So,
well, I don't know. I don't know when my next time there is, but when I do
happen to be there strolling about, you can definitely find the coffee there. But yeah, so what I do for work, so I'm in social media. So previously with the coffee company and now currently with the vitamins and supplements, still I'm based in Richmond. So, for kids and adults, so alike, which has been entertaining and really interesting to go through the pandemic and see how that evolved over time. And then when I'm not working, and even though with the pandemic, I'm not on skates, but we are curlers, so like the Olympic sport.
Nice.
So if you're familiar, if you're in San Jose, if you go to Sharks Ice, you'll probably see there's curling there Tuesday nights. So we actually there's our sister club there, and then we have a club up here in the East Bay, and we're planning on opening ice late next month. So just in time for the Olympics, and it's always really fun and exciting because that's how we started back in 2014, was during the Winter Olympics. So
there's always a curling push after the Olympics because people are like, that looks fun. I want to try that. And I think I could have some success. Like, you know what I'm saying, right? Like golf, you can't go out there and just golf. At least I can't, right? But curling, almost like bowling, you might have enough success to like come back and do it more. And obviously you're on a totally different level, I know, but.
Well, and there's always one rule that we all curlers follow, which is the winner buys the first round. So cheers to that. I hear you. Exactly.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad you're here, Christina. Guy, thank you for, I know everybody, it's weird. I want to spend time on everybody. I also want to try and, get everybody in here. Guy, welcome. Thank you for coming on. And I know you have an artistic background.
Yeah. I'm a A's fan since '87, Sharks fan since, day one. And, a fan of any beer that's wet.
Cheers to that. Cheers to that.
I've always been drawing my whole life. And I was going to art school. I went to the Academy of Art College in San Francisco for a few years part-time while working. And some of my former classmates were coming back as instructors. And I said, hey, what are you guys doing? Why are you teaching here? And they really kind of scared me off. They said, there's no work. Really competitive, and art school is not cheap. So, I have a day job. I also work in grocery. I've been doing that for 26 years.
I think I think I have the applause here. Can you guys hear that? There we go. I should have hit that a long time ago. I should have also, I think I can pour everybody a beer too.
Oh, wow.
There we go. What have I been doing this entire time? I'm sorry, Guy. Continue.
No, it's all good. So 26 years, the last 2 years have definitely been the worst. It's been so stressful, a nightmare. I almost don't even want to talk about it. It's a nice escape to get away from there. But the cool thing is about a year and a half ago, I got an iPad Pro and I really started diving back into art with digital form. And I really liked it because like a lot of the things I didn't like about art, erase. It's a lot more cost efficient. I don't have to buy pens and markers and worry about the paint running out.
Right.
So I started doing that, and then I do a lot of fan art, a lot of Bay Area sports art. That's why most people are familiar with me. The cool thing with like Instagram and Twitter and stuff is, this day and age, it's a lot easier to just kind of get it out there for people to see.
Right.
And then also I've had like some success getting a direct line to some of the guys on the A's and et cetera, and they've been really grateful and kind about it. So it's been a good experience. I'm full steam ahead now. I'm not turning back on the art.
That's awesome.
Guy, do you use Procreate or what's your tool?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I use Procreate, And then the cool thing with Procreate, it's like a $9.99 program. It's $10. The iPad Pro is what really cost me a lot of money. And then just trying to familiarize myself with the program. But if you use, any other like Photoshop, Adobe Illustrator, I mean, it's very similar. I say it's like video games. You play a fighting game, another fighting game's kind of similar. It's all the same controls. So. But it's been a lot of fun, especially getting out, and I get a good response from the fan base too, which is always fun.
I love your artwork. I love the covers for all the A's players.
I was just gonna say that's the one I've seen. Yeah,
the Super A's. I had a lot of fun with Super A's. I didn't get to everybody, but the way this offseason looking, I might have a whole new cast of characters to draw next season. But that's been a lot of fun, especially because some of those concepts, they kind of write themselves. There was a couple funny ones I did. Like I did Jedpool for Jed Lowry, and then I had to make it say double-sized issue on it. And a lot of the gags, they kind of write themselves after a while. I have a lot of fun with it.
It kind of reminds me, Guy, of photography. Like I'm really into taking pictures and cameras and stuff. And I imagine, though, if you were still using a film camera, you wouldn't be taking as many pictures because every click cost you film. You got to get it developed. Whereas like a digital camera, snap. Oh, I don't, I like that one. I'll only upload that one. I can keep them all on a hard drive in perfect quality. And anyway, I understand what you're saying about how the iPad changed it for you. I'm so glad you found it. I love your stuff, man. That's really cool. You're very creative.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, absolutely.
I probably have some of his art displayed in my house upstairs. So I really appreciate his work.
Really?
Thanks, Will.
Absolutely.
That's pretty cool.
Will's a good guy. Will's my Barracuda buddy too. I run into him at the Barracuda games.
Will's he's everybody's buddy. Let's be honest.
Well, what's funny is sometimes I'm in a crowd and he's walking by. I kind of told him this in the end. I like to get his name wrong and have people correct me, so I call him Left Field Bill, and then I like to see people correct me. Like, no, it's Right Field Will. Oh yeah. I mean, he's the most famous A's fan there is. Sorry to the rest of you guys. But maybe Banjo Man.
From the mirror dimension, right?
What's that?
Left Field Bill's from the mirror dimension.
Yeah, I kind of said that's his evil doppelganger. Because every once in a while he pops into right field, and left field. And I'm sitting there going, is that Will? That doesn't make any sense. Like my brain can't compute that.
Sorry, I'm a little bit late on that one. I really meant to drop in the. Like when you said, hey, it's Left Field Bill. Anyway. I have too many sound effects. All right, enough of that.
I feel like I'm on Happy Days right now.
Yeah, the problem with me having this thing over here is that it happens too much. Like there's too many buttons anyway. So awesome.
Don't go on that excursion on us on Hot Stove.
I hear you. Eric, thank you for waiting and getting your turn here. I've known you for quite some time too. Yeah. Obviously, we know where your dedications lie, but for those who may not know you, Puck Guy, tell us a little bit more.
I'm a Bay Area native, born and raised here. Lived mostly in the East Bay my whole entire life. Sharks fan since day one. Just fell in love with the color teal and black and just went to that. And from the days of Doug Wilson, Pat Falloon, Ray Whitney to Eric Carlson and Jaden Helgewatz,
say it again. No, I'm just kidding. That's awesome.
Just been a diehard. Just wanted to just see the game grow out here in the Bay Area, and it's doing really well. And that's where kind of the whole podcast thing started going with it, and just started drawing like I just would just start drawing like crazy online and everything, and then I dabble in that grocery store thing here and there.
I can imagine, and Guy talked a little bit about it. It's a difficult life. It's a difficult job in the last couple years as opposed to the prior however many. What is the part, Eric, that you can share? Because honestly, I think about essential workers this entire time, and people have kind of forgotten that, right? Like that term has gone by the wayside or whatever, but that was such a big deal to so many people in 2020. But what can you share about what that's been like? How crazy that must have been.
When everything was getting shut down in March of 2020, the lines were like all the way to the back of the store and everything. And everybody was freaking out, but they were always understandable about a lot of things. Although then when you get to the holidays and you might have a romaine recall.
Oh, yeah.
And I actually had a customer that's like, I'm sorry, I don't have any romaine salad. I know that kind of ruins your plans. It's like, well, you just ruined my Thanksgiving. I hope someone ruins yours.
Come on.
That's how crazy it can be sometimes.
I mean, and I know you're a very mature person. I'm sure you handled that in the best possible way. But how, what are you supposed to say back to that? I mean, how are you supposed to contain yourself when somebody, needles you like that? That's crazy.
Hey, thanks for shopping with us. Come back again.
And you know what it's like? I know Guy probably deals with that. And Christina, as a person who works in social media, probably deals with a lot of, customer responses. And honestly, I'll say it too, as even a broadcaster, like there are so many people who come right at me, say stuff that I guarantee would never say in real life. But it's amazing how cavalier, things some people get in those moments. So I know you've probably seen it among the worst in the last couple of years. So I say thank you to you and Guy specifically for that. That's awesome.
Absolutely.
And by the way, Eric, you can skate pretty well. I saw you had a birthday a couple days ago.
Yeah. I had my birthday a couple of days ago and got to. I was sitting out at Walnut Creek on ice, just a temporary ice sheet there, and I was like, it's been a while. I've had. I had a car accident like a few years ago and I wasn't able to get on the ice too much. And that was the first time, like 5 years, I got to get the gear on and skate. So it was a blast. And like, okay, when's the next Sharks fantasy camp? Because, one, I'll drop the gloves with you, Brodie. And two, the rush, just, skating out there. It's just something else.
We got to get Erin on skates now that she's getting into hockey. Like she's, that's the next thing.
I have skated.
Oh, nice.
I went to the Alameda, little ice skating rink we have here, which was terrible ice. Sorry to those folks. And I brought my 6-year-old because I wanted, he's into hockey. So I was like, oh, let's take you ice skating. And so I ended up getting the best workout of my entire life because he sat on that stupid whale thing.
Right.
And all I did was push him around.
Right.
In a giant circle. And we had 90 minutes to be there. And after 20 minutes, I was like, we're done.
The biggest
I don't do this anymore.
Darren has seen this firsthand. And so many of you I know can understand this too. Watching as much hockey as some people do, they don't truly understand it until they have tried to skate. Like that puts it all into perspective of what these players are doing, where you're like, oh, just do this, do that. Well, there's a whole skill that needs to be learned before you can even play the game. I mean, basketball's not like that. I mean, running, jumping, those are natural things, but skating is not something that, especially for us in California, it's a hard skill to even have the opportunity to learn. So yeah, Eric, you look pretty good out there, man. I honestly, I wouldn't say 5 years. I would have thought 5 days. You look like you hadn't been that long.
Well, Brodie, I mean, if this keeps going when they need extra people on the taxi squad, we'll be ready to go.
Eric brought his one-liners. All right, Kate, you're up next, and I hope you don't mind me playing this, but I keep this high priority on my soundboard.
Leading off for the Athletics and playing second base, number 6, Brodie, Brazil.
That is your dad, Dick Callahan. We miss him so much, and I know I'm gonna get emotional. I didn't mean.
I can do this right now.
I'm sorry, but I love the man so much. He's your dad, but I want to know a little bit more about your story and anything you can share. It's just I wanted people to know who that voice says it all. And for me, it was the A's in the last decade or so. But going back to when I was a kid, I mean, I have it on video. They let us play a CYO basketball game at halftime of a Warriors game in the early 90s, and I made a basket. He's announcing my name back then. I'm shooting 2. I mean, Anyway, I'm a groupie of your father. I loved him. He was one of the best. So tell us your story, Kate.
I mean, he was a rascal. Like when he was doing Cal football, I'm totally like choked up. So thank you.
You know what? If you need more time, we can give it. I did that. I apologize, but he's so special to me, you know?
Yeah, I miss him so much. When he was doing Cal football, my husband he played for a year at the Air Force Academy. And so he knew my husband was big into football. And so he would credit him with tackles for the other team. He'd be like, and with the, whatever it was, Ron Cisco with the tackle. And we'd be like, Ron, Dad just said your name. He would throw that in and like credit people, with other. But yeah, I got to do, he asked me to spot for him one time at St. Mary's. And then, and it was only once because I had no idea what I was doing. And I can't watch I have no idea what's going on. I barely knew what the ball was. And so I just kept saying Domingo Ruiz and it was on offense and defense. So the way the booth was set up was I was sitting behind my dad and he'd turn to me and he'd be like, Kate, the only people who are happy you're here today? Domingo's parents.
It's like he's on the sideline right now. How did he make that play?
I can't. Domingo. It's Domingo, Dad. It was
At least it was a cool name to say, like you picked a fun name to say.
Exactly.
Hey, how many siblings do you have? Like how many children?
I have two older sisters.
Okay.
I'm third in line for the throne, as my dad would refer to me. The caboose, or I was, he would also call us MasterCard, Visa, and overdraft.
So he was into, is it finances too, right? That was the day job?
He had an insurance business.
Insurance, I'm sorry. That's what it was. Okay. My
husband has taken that over now.
So wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And let me ask you this. I never knew this, and if I could go back in time, and I had many conversations with your dad, but I wish I would have asked it. What's that?
He definitely mentioned you.
Wow. Well, now you're going to get me all emotional over here, but how did he get into the whole PA announcing thing? Like, was there an entry to it? Did he have a fascination with it? Did you ever know how he got into it?
No, it was, the story he would tell was that it was kind of by chance.
Mm-hmm.
So, he would refer to himself as he was built for comfort, not for speed. So if you know what my dad looked, he's the Campbell soup boy. He wasn't a star athlete, but had gone to college in Canada and he was studying to be a priest, and he went to play basketball and he sprained both his ankles. And the only way he could be like part of the team or something was the guy said, like the athletic director said, we need an announcer tonight. And my dad's like, oh, I'll do it. And he's like, well, have you ever done it? And he's like, oh yeah. Oh yeah. I did all my high school games. My dad had never done not.
I love it.
So he was a rascal. Those are just like, he was hilarious.
Yeah. Well, I told you this before we went on live here on YouTube, and I said the best way to describe him is impossibly kind. There have been times I'm working at the Coliseum, I'm busy, I'm rushed, I'm this, I'm that, and like his demeanor, his approach to anybody was always like, hey, how's it going? Good to see. He instantly would stop, however bad, however indifferent you were feeling, and he'd put you in a good mood. And I know you know that too, but he was that way to everybody. So
he would definitely engage.
Yeah.
And he liked people. He liked to be around people. And so COVID was really, really hard for him.
Yeah.
He had a great sense of humor. I remember, working a few bad A's losses with him, games that went on forever and they'd lose bad. And he would just get up and turn around and look at me and go, That's 3 hours we'll never get back.
Well, I think, I'm not sure. One of you said something about there were some bleak years, like with the A's. And my dad, when he was doing the Warriors, he would go to, my dad did a ton of speaking engagements all over the Bay Area. And so he would tell a story that when the Warriors were doing really poorly, that he said, you know, he would park the car and by mistake, he left 2 tickets on the dash. And then when he came out of the game, the windshield was shattered and there were 4 tickets on it.
Oh, that, you know, when you say it, like I could hear him telling that. I can hear, I never heard that in person, but I could hear him saying it. So I'm very excited for everybody here to join and do this. And actually, I kind of want to just throw it out to anybody right now. But I do have to say that, Kate, I was especially excited when I knew you'd join us, because I never got to talk to you before this. And like I said, your dad's story, and I can only imagine your entire family is all, you know, similar to who he is and who he was. So just excited to meet you.
Thank you. And thank you for doing this.
Absolutely.
I mean, to see it and just the response, all the people that were like, were interested. So.
I know. I was a little bit taken back. I thought maybe 8 to 10 people total would be interested. And I told my wife the next day, I was like, I put this on Twitter. Check this out. She was like, that many people want to join you? I was like, hey, you know, maybe it could be the start of something. So.
Well, A's Twitter is such a cool community. Like I have been so welcomed. You know, I have no like online, whatever you call it,
ambitions.
Like,
yeah.
But it's just that any little thing that I put out or something, it's just like you get this mad rush of A's fans that I've not met before. Like Jeff, I've kind of met you through Twitter, and of course Will. So it's been so cool. It's such a nice community, and people are so.
The thing to remember about A's fans is that we have to be dedicated.
You know what you're getting into, right? Like, you know,
it's blood in, blood out, guys.
And it's not the funny thing. Like, a lot of people think about it as like a recent thing, but like in my lifetime, Ricky Henderson came and went 4 times.
Yep.
Yeah, there's some truth to that.
There's a certain World Series highlight I still can't watch.
Oh, geez. True story.
And I'll punch somebody in the face if they talk about
it. Noted.
Is it between 1987 and 1989, Ron?
That doesn't exist.
Ding, ding.
Is that the one? Did it happen in Southern California and a guy was doing the old fist pump?
And the crazy thing about it, I had a frat brother in San Jose, and he's a Dodger fan.
Oh,
we're talking about it, we're around the same age, and I'm like, that's the. I cried when Hulk Hogan threw Rocky out of the ring, and I cried that particular night. He was telling me how it was the total opposite at his house. He's running around, ecstatic, and I'm like in the fetal position on my father's lap, like I can't take this.
You know, hey Ron, I'm just realizing, man, because you and I are a little bit in the same boat here. How are you getting out of the 4 and 6-year-old duty right now? They're asleep, right?
Yeah,
So you got to be kind of quiet here a little bit.
That's why I'm on the headphones.
Yeah. Copy
He's
that.
on TV, Brodie. He's with a TV star right now.
Well, no, but I mean, like, you don't want to wake him up. Like, once you put him down, you're like, stay asleep.
But they also sleep like rocks, though.
Oh, do they really?
The time they came out, my son was probably 6 months, and he was through the night.
You are so lucky. Aaron looks like she has a response there. Go ahead, Aaron.
I was saying, you were talking about that, and as you were talking about it, my 6-year-old is just banging on this door.
Uh-oh.
He wants to come say goodnight.
My door's locked. Yeah.
Anyway, that's why he's like banging on this door, because I can hear him. Oh, wow.
I can't have locked doors. It would be Armageddon.
I have 3 girls, right? 3 children.
Yes.
The youngest is now 14 and the oldest is 21. So, like, I'm just smiling thinking about all this stuff that you guys have to deal with.
You've passed that stage. You're way past
several times. Several times.
Yeah,
so,
I smile because I don't have any of them, so I'm good.
Yeah. I gotta tell you guys something. You tell me if this is a good place to start. Like, I've found that in the last 10 years, as I've got married, had a child, you know, I don't think I'm a different person, but I looked at people who had kids differently way back then. Maybe I couldn't understand it, or I'll figure it out when I get there. And now in reverse, I can kind of see myself, and I was like, you didn't understand like what being a parent means and the responsibility, and like it's a job that doesn't go on.
You know what it is?
Go ahead.
You know what it is, Brodie? You know, like before you had children and you were at the airport and you would see those parents that had the leash backpack on their kids, and you were like, God, that's so cruel.
Right.
What's wrong with these people? And then like when my kids started walking, the first thing we purchased was a leash backpack. And not only that, we had to like specially order like the dog leash that was like 8 feet so that he'd feel like he could have a little bit more freedom.
Right.
And like you're at the airport and people are like giving you, like dirty looks, and you're like, wait, you just wait.
It's better than losing a child momentarily. And you know what? It's the 4 feet thing is inhumane, but 8 feet, when they have that much room, it's a total different ballgame.
So much freedom.
Or shot collar.
Lose your
Ron,
youngest
too far,
daughter at
too
Disneyland
far.
once, and everybody thinks that you're.
I'm just kind of.
Aaron, I'm the one that kind of does that too. I kind of going like, it's just mean. But now you've helped me understand. Now I appreciate it.
It's like you've probably seen me at the Coliseum walking my kid, because that is literally what you're doing.
That's phenomenal. Next time I see that, next season I'll get you a beer just to help you out with that. How's that sound?
Hilarious. Hey,
I remember going over to like friends' houses who had kids, and they would go to like have a designated room where their kids would just kind of run amok and have toys everywhere. And
yeah.
Like, and they have kids, like that's not going to happen. Messes are going to get cleaned up. And now, with a 20-month-old, I'm like, oh, my house has become that. I didn't even realize that.
Yeah.
Oh, so you have a child who's 20 months, huh?
He was born in April of last year.
Holy smokes! Like
pandemic baby.
Wow.
It's interesting to think about the timing when he was born, because my wife and I, when we look back and leading up to that moment, we had sort of prepared to be hermits, for the past few months leading up to that time when everybody else was thrust upon them.
Right.
So we were already stocked up on food and toilet paper and paper towels, and we're like, oh, we can weather this, and we weren't going to go out anyway with the newborn.
Your social life was already shot that moment, and you knew the next handful of months were going to be locked down anyway. So no, I know several people in your exact same situation, but. So you're way, I mean, so I now feel like the old guy because we're a couple years ahead of you, but I remember those days and they were fun, but they were also difficult. How are you sleeping, by the way?
After a year, it got much, much better. And I think about the differences, certainly before kids and now kids. And like before kids, like, oh, Wednesday night, there's things to do out going about town. And now I'm like, oh, Brodie's created a special evening to have a beer on a weeknight. I'm very appreciative.
So do you have kids or kid?
Kid with kid on the way.
Okay, so listen. Ron and I can tell you this. Like, to twist this back to sports. Right now, you're in a man free. You're about to go man to man. Do not go too deep zone.
Talk of my life.
Ron's out there calling plays with his wife.
I understand. Like, 2 is the threshold. 2 is the limit.
Spiderweb banana.
Spiderweb banana. Oh, that's hilarious. Hey, Will, tell me a hotel story. Like, what is it always normal business? Does shady stuff happen at a hotel? Like, what goes on here?
First off, let me just be honest and say I work at a hotel in Oakland, so you could already assume some stuff kind of goes down every once in a while.
Okay.
I'm trying to think. I've been robbed at gunpoint before at a hotel in Oakland.
Whoa.
About 10 years. That was 10 years ago, so that was an interesting experience. But recently, we've had some ladies in the night try to come into our hotel, and I've had to kindly go up to their rooms and kindly say, "You better leave now, otherwise the OPD will come get you." We've had break-ins in the parking lot. I've had to stop a couple myself, and you get your fair share of interesting scenarios, to say the least.
I feel like it should be a pretty simple and straightforward job. Like the way I stay at a hotel, I check in, I'm nice to people, and then I leave, right? But it's just not. I know. I'm sure working there and the volume of people and the amount of you probably have some stories. So.
I mean, absolutely. I mean, you would always like. Okay, all of us here are probably just like, okay, cool. Here's my credit card. Here's my ID.
Yeah.
I'll gladly check in. It's awesome.
Yeah.
No, you get the ones who say, I expected this room. I expected this early check-in. Why are you doing it? And it's like, well, guess what? I'm sorry. We were sold out last night. And they're like, well, I expect my room right now. I was like, okay, I'll be Bob the Builder and go build you a room right now. How's that sound? I'm 99% of the time I'm pretty level-headed, but every now and then I will be a bit of a smart individual who likes to mouth off a little bit. So I don't try to, I don't want to, but every now and then it just has to happen.
Where do you think you get your voice from? Where do you think the pipes come from? Is it just...
I really have no idea. I know it's not my parent. My dad's got an okay voice. My mom definitely not. Here's the fun part. I used to be a choir singer until this got really deep.
Wow. I feel like you have the voice I want. So, you know.
You've got your voice is awesome. I appreciate it. I still have the love you gave me in Detroit, but I appreciate you for that, by the way.
The love? What happened in Detroit?
When I was in Detroit, you had me send a video and you gave me some nice love on Post Game Live.
That's right. When you were in, I thought it was a hockey thing. When you were in Detroit, that's right. You went to some Tigers A's games this past year, right?
Yes, sir. And you gave me the fan of the game or player of the game.
Oh, absolutely.
The greatest thrill of my life. I just got called player of the game, and all I did was take videos of like random scenarios at Comerica Park. This is the best time of my life.
Well, you gave us a tour of the ballpark. I think I messaged you. It was like, hey, can you give us some videos? Technology is a beautiful thing. I mean, here we are doing this, but like you sent videos from your phone that we put on our post-game show that night. And honestly, it looked like you shot it with a professional camera, to be honest with you. So
I'm using the same camera and everything I'm using right now for this, and it's usually pretty lousy, so I'm glad it turned out all right.
No, you're the man. Well, you're the man. Hey, Darren, so tell me, like, you've traveled with the team for years. You've been on the inside of the Shark Circle. We're not going to exploit that. But what would you say are some of the interesting things that you've seen and been a part of over the years, and maybe experiences that you've had being part of their traveling party?
Two that come to mind. I mean, the first one was being in Dallas the night the trade for Joe Thornton went down. It was just surreal because moments before the game started, I went into the press lounge. They have a bathroom in the back to use the washroom, whatever, before the game started. And the two scratches that night were eating in there. It was Jim Fahey and Nico Dimitrakos were eating in there. And then suddenly the lights go down, anthem's being sung, and the stats guy in Dallas, who's a good friend of mine, Kevin Fox, is like, hey, there's something going on. Your bench is short. There's not enough guys on the bench. He said, I think something's going down. He said, yeah, you guys got two guys coming onto the ice from the wrong side. Like they're coming out here in a scramble, and it was the two scratches. So they had apparently, when I came out of the restroom, their food was still sitting there and they were gone. So somebody had come and gotten them. And anyway, we knew something was going down, and we're like going after Sharks PR. We're going after Stars PR. Like, you guys see anything? And,
right.
Yeah, we saw three Sharks players get in the cab, and we're like, where are they going? And they're like, Boston. I'm like, Boston? Like, yeah. And I thought we were getting Sergei Samsonov. It was Joe Thornton. And it was like, and even then the internet wasn't so good, scrambling, trying to find like, what's going on? Like, I'm not finding any trade news. And finally a Canadian site put up, the Sharks get Joe Thornton. And I'm like, holy crap, we're getting Joe. I thought we were getting Samsonov. So that was pretty cool. And then again, these are old timer, longer ago, but when they won their playoff series in Nashville in 06 and 07, great town, just were able to celebrate with the players after. We didn't fly back that night. We stayed and they partied. We got to celebrate with them. Stuff like that's cool. Just fun memories. It was a long time ago now, but just things like that,
Yeah. Well, what can you tell us about, and I'm asking this question of you kind of knowing the answer, but the production environment of games on television. Sean Madison is our great producer, has been for many years. There's a lot of consistent faces that are in that production truck. What can you say about what it's like to deliver a broadcast? And I know even the last 2 years have been very abnormal as opposed to the prior many. What's it like on the inside of making a broadcast?
There's a lot that goes into it. I mean, for us, we show up about 6 hours before puck drop to start building a show. Various roles, it's tape people, camera people have to build their cameras. I prepare the graphics I put on the air and so forth. It's just a lot of preparation goes into it. Once the game starts, it's that's actually the easier part, but it's really exciting, especially when the team's playing well and goals are being scored. It's a great sport to do just because it's so fast. I couldn't imagine doing well, I do baseball, but it's just really compared to, it's such a change when you go to baseball. It's such a slow sport compared to hockey. There's nothing like it. And when a goal's scored and it's, the Sharks score, obviously it's chaos controlled chaos for about a minute or two after the goal. It's pretty cool, pretty fun.
Yeah. And I think too that, that it's weird, the environment at the tank, and for somebody like Aaron, who's kind of just getting into hockey, I would say that games at SAP Center, first off, last season, there were no fans for most of the year. So what you were watching was not, and I was at some of those games, it just didn't have, it was not normal. And even now, people are a little bit hesitant to go at full capacity. I mean, the team has been interesting this year. Maybe they haven't gotten fully back to steam, but the environment and the experience right now is still just a little bit different than it ever used to be. So I can't wait until we kind of get past a lot of this stuff and we can return to how things were. I feel like the environment of going to a game is even greater.
I feel like I've aged myself already twice tonight, but I'm about to do it again because the last time I went to a Sharks hockey game was when they played an exhibition game at Arco Arena in Sacramento.
Oh, wow.
When they were still playing at the Cow Palace down here. So,
that's okay. I wish I saw that game at Arco. That would have been amazing.
Darren might have been there.
No, that was a long time ago.
I remember it was the Rangers because, again, like I said, my parents are New Yorkers. And so I think that's why we went. So, yeah. I'm very excited to go to the tank when it's time.
And Brodie, like you said, it's great to have everybody. I mean, I've gone to plenty of games. They've been emptier this year, but just even having it back, like even with the baseball this year, just having that back, even the slightest.
Yeah.
I mean, your videos last year being in the tank helped me out tremendously. Which is like it gave me that little bit of normal. Even you being there just taking video, it was nice. Just had a little bit of normal, seeing the shark head entrance and everything, which is great.
I took a picture of me sitting in a random, section in row with my shoes. I took my shoes off and watched a whole period that way because it was me, Curtis, a camera guy, and that was it in the stands. And in the boxes, like the scratches were in one box, Doug Wilson and company were in a different box, but literally nobody in the seats at all. So it was, the problem was there was one time where Brownie said something to me, and I won't repeat it, but about a certain player and a certain situation that just happened. But it got so quiet that I was like, Brownie, I think the player can hear you talking about. Wow. You don't ever think about that, but it was awkward. It was really weird, and I have no thoughts that we're ever going to go back to that completely anytime soon. But it was just, gosh, I want to go back to, and when things are right, I want to go back to how they used to be. So. Who's got anything that I asked all of you to bring something to the table, and I don't want to take too much of your guys' time tonight. We just hit the hour mark, by the way. Is there anything that somebody brought that they really want to bring to the group here as a topic?
Absolutely, I do. What do you think when the lockout for the MLB baseball ends and everything else? What do you think is going to happen to our roster? Do you think we'll get that $100 million threshold, hopefully, that they want to do, that we won't get rid of everybody? Or do you think we're going to have a major fire sale? Like, what's your thoughts on this and everybody else here as well?
So you're talking about the salary cap, which is being discussed, right? So there's a cap, and in hockey, in hockey, it's a hard cap, right? But it's there's a floor and a hard cap, but it's hard. In baseball right now, there's a soft high cap, right? It's a little bit different, but there is no floor. I know what you're talking about for the A's specifically. If it is a certain amount of a floor, they would have to reach that threshold. But the fact is, right now, they don't know. And I think that's clearly why they were not part of any selling before the lockout officially started at the beginning of December. Honestly, it all kind of depends on that, doesn't it? Do I think they instantly don't make too many? If there is a floor, I don't think they make too many moves right now. You know what I'm saying? Like that to me says any kind of wholesale lifting that we were going to do, probably not going to do that at this point.
Go out and sign Ben Sheets.
And that contract, was that a $10 million a year, $15 million?
1 year.
1 year, $10 million.
Yeah.
1 year, $10 million, right.
Yep.
And it's just, you go back to those things like that, and in reverse, it didn't make sense at the time, but I don't want to see them do something to satisfy. That's an Arizona Coyotes situation. And I know not all of you are in the hockey mode, but they sign players that are not even going to play just to get to the cap floor. That's the one thing I don't, and not just the A's, but I don't want all of baseball to have to be forced into that situation. Like, I don't want the Cincinnati Reds to be in that situation. So if baseball does it, I certainly think it affects the A's, but I hope it doesn't influence teams to sign players to regrettable situations and just throw money away for the purpose of it. That's stupid.
I was saying that
Billy
jokingly,
Butler kind of move to be good.
That's another one.
You'll see a lot of like short-term deals that are higher dollar values as a result. And
I think the ultimate, what you'll see is that, the team has kind of put their cards on the table that wherever it's going to be, there's going to be a new stadium at the end of this decade. And they want to make sure they have a contender that kind of dovetails into the opening of that new stadium. And so it's all about fitting a timeline of players to make sure that when they open, those players will be there for, contending for several years thereafter.
I think, the other thing to remember, like as an A's fan, and please don't start booing and hissing and throwing stuff at me. There's a difference between spending money and winning. And
I had the soundboard here. How dare you say that? Sorry, go ahead.
The A's have been in the playoffs since 2011 times. Like, they've been in the playoffs every other year. And during that whole time, for 20 years, I've heard that they don't care about winning.
Right.
It's actually not true.
But they keep doing it, to your point. Yeah.
Right. You don't make the playoffs every other year if you don't care about winning. Now, I think the other thing, the thing that's interesting to think about is that actually really a winning business proposition? Because the teams that have done really well the way that the A's have done it are like Tampa Bay and Oakland, and neither one of them have done a very good job of actually building a strong local fan base. We do the work, like Will, myself, and you guys. We are the ones who do the work for the local fan base, not them. And that's because they buy into a myth, I think, which is that all you have to do is win on the field in order to have people show up in the stands. And that's never been the case. Will would know best. I think that actually baseball is more like a hospitality industry, sort of like hotels or restaurants, than it is an actual professional sporting thing that people actually care. Like my girls, they have shirts that say, "I'm here for the snacks," and that's fine. That's fine. We need those people there.
Well, I think the two big influences on what the A's ultimately do in the next year, or even before this next season. I guess what I mean to say is this off season, whenever it kind of is official again, is the salary cap floor situation, but also if they get any new information on Howard Terminal. To what you were kind of alluding to there, Jeff, is that if all of a sudden that, hey, between 2026 and 27, like that's your year to move into something new, you want to time everything out so that, and whatever move that means, and maybe that means unloading some current talent right now to restock for that time. So I guess what I'm saying here is to answer Will's original question, a little bit of it is the salary cap floor part, but another aspect of it is, will you find any new information out about Howard Terminal? Like, will you get a really good indication about it or something else, let's say before opening day? And quite honestly, I don't think that's unrealistic at this point to have a way better indication about everything by, let's say, April or May.
If you think about it, at this time, not this time last year, but a few, maybe 9 months ago, we had Oakland City Council members writing letters to Major League Baseball demanding why they say they can't just stay at the Coliseum site.
Yeah.
Now we're at the point where those people who actually wrote that letter are part of the driving force to get infrastructure money for the offsite infrastructure downtown. So the thing that's really come together for all of that is, well, it's two things, right? It's the A's have actually been forced to only focus on Oakland by Major League Baseball. And second, the city of Oakland actually has a political will at this point to do something.
Yeah.
And so those two things, like I know we talk about public process, we talk about all that stuff, very important, it all needs to go through, but that stuff's going to happen as long as those two things are true. And I see it all. I mean, it's a much different situation than it's been going back to 2006. And, like we've been sitting on this thing for a long time, guys. Right. But I think all that's lining up. It's good to see.
Go back to even opening day of last season, literally. I mean, the conversation of Howard Terminal was there among fans, among people like myself, among, with the A's too, but the conversation was not happening at the city council level, Alameda County Board of Supervisors level. It was not happening in those places. Now, here we are, to your point, 6, 7, 8 months later, and it's very much on their forefront. It's very much on their front burner. So progress has been made, no matter how much people want to recognize it, or, they just want to see shovels in the ground. And I do too, but I'm also here to recognize when some stuff has happened. Anybody else have anything else they want to bring?
You're part of the possible action team, buddy. Possible action.
Shout out to lastdivebar.com. They are among the best. They definitely are. Can I get my own shirt, please? No, I'm just kidding. I don't know that I want that unless I win that the Hal the hot dog guy. Unless I win his bracket. If I win the bracket, I want a shirt. But if I don't win the bracket, I don't want a shirt. So
I think actually they could think about expanding business, right? Because they could make your shirt both in green and gold and black and teal.
Yeah, they got to get into the hockey. They got to make up a whole new website though, because Last Dive Bar, the tank is not the same situation as the Coliseum by any means.
That stuff's easy.
The tank is high end, experience still. So anything else? Who wants to bring something else to the table?
Well, I was just going to say this about being an A's fan. There's something special about being an A's fan, and it's the community that surrounds us, right? For many years, I was an A's fan who lived in Sacramento, right? And there's A's fans there, of course, but there's also more Giants fans. And when the River Cats came to town in 2000, and that was our AAA team, there was this resurgence of people being dedicated to the A's again, right? Something that we had lost after, 89, 90, 91. And it's the fans and the community. And and this is going to sound controversial, so please don't throw things at me. It's not even about what's on the field sometimes. It's just about the feeling that you get of being there and being in the green and gold together, right? And that's a really special feeling. And that is the feeling that I want my 6-year-old to feel growing up being an A's fan, right? It doesn't really matter who they put on the field at the end of the day. It's that we're there to support this one group together as a community. And somebody on Twitter weeks ago was like, tell us about the most obscure A's players that we have had at the end of their career, right? Because there were a few years where we were just getting guys coming to the A's at their end of their career. Piazza,
Frank Thomas,
Frank Thomas.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. And, we were excited. These were people that think that, okay, these are big names. They're going to bring all these fans in because people are going to be excited to see them. But it didn't matter to us because we were just as excited about the Mark Ellis's on the field, right? And that's what's so special about being an A's fan. And that's probably why in the good times and the bad, we hang in there and we're diehard till the end.
I agree with you. Aaron.
Also, but like Grant said, can we bring back the gold jerseys, please, for her Sunday jersey?
Yeah.
Those are slick.
They are nice.
I would white on that gold.
If you can only have 4, I would do away with the dark green. I'd keep Kelly green, gold, obviously white and gray. And the other thing I would do, I made a video about this a while back. I don't actually like the road hats. I would just keep the gold bill on the road gray. Look at a picture of Walt Weiss in 1989. It looks slick. I don't know. You don't have to do too many tweaks to make the A's jerseys chef's kiss. I don't know why I keep doing that, but
as a jersey guy, it doesn't get better than that Kelly green. I mean, Brodie, you and I did that uniform unveiling years ago, but that's just beautiful. But yeah,
perfect green.
You know what's funny, Eric? Green. You know what's funny? The day that they invited all of us to the team headquarters and they unveiled it in Dallas, and Chappie, I think it was Chappie, Ole, and Marcus were there to be the models, right? First off, Marcus is the only one that looks like a model of those 3. But no offense to the Mats, but Marcus has got those cheekbones, So, but when they walked him up in person, and I was like, I can't believe I didn't. People were so excited, and I was kind of mediocre. but I will tell you, the first time I saw the team wearing them on one of those Friday nights in 2018, I was like, that's the jam right there. In fact, I only have, I have a couple Ace jerseys, but the one that Steve Usinich, who just retired after this season, a couple years ago, I said, Voos, I gotta ask you for a favor. Like, I want to get an A's jersey, the Kelly Green. I want the real one. Can you get me one that like the players wear? It's like, what's your address and what number and what size and what do you? I was like, anyway. He hooked it up, but that is like a prized possession. And when you see that thing in person, when you see it on TV, it pops, So.
And the best part.
Go ahead, keep going, Eric.
Oh, I'm sorry. The best part though of it is having Oakland on the front of it.
I agree.
Yes.
I agree. Eric, what's your favorite? So what's your favorite Sharks jersey of all the different ones they've made? And then if you could pick one jersey of any team in any sport that kind of floats your boat, what is it?
Oh,
man. Do not save the Stealth jersey. I will.
No.
I will hang up immediately.
No.
Burn them.
In fact, on this special night, I'm actually wearing a prototype jersey. This is a Nike jersey from '97. It had a zipper neckline.
Wow.
That
your will just say what the?
It's like a pager.
It was quickly rejected because of what could be happening when you're into a fight and such. But the classic teal jersey with the white, black, and gray striping, that's just. Like you said, chef's kiss.
The original one you're talking about, right?
Yeah. And even the heritage one with even the darker teal makes the white and black pop on there.
I agree. Yeah, that's it. That's crazy you're wearing that right now. Think about like a fight starting and the guy's like, instead of drop the gloves and then go zoop.
Rip my zipper.
We got a bleeder.
I could. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's the other thing. Imagine like you zip the guy up on the other side, like I'm choking him. I don't think that would work. Oh, that's
Jeff
pretty
Yell would love that. Jeff Yell would be all about it.
Right.
Exactly. The Bay Area. The coolest thing is we have every team. Like you look around all the sports. The most popular color combination is obviously some combination of blue and white or red, white, and blue. And and we don't have any of that. Like we have teal and black. We have green and gold. We have red and gold. We had black and silver, and we have orange and black, which pains me to admit.
Hang on a second. I've got one for those. Oh, there we go.
Oh boy.
No, I'm just honestly like, and let me clarify, and you guys can chime in on this too. I really don't hate the Giants. I come across, and I playfully put out stuff that would make you think that I really don't. But it's just that for me, the stance is this. I could either do one, and I made this choice years ago. I could have done one of two things in my career and on social media. I could go where everybody else goes because everybody else wants to talk about the Giants, the Warriors, and the 49ers. For me, it was like, all right, these are my work roles, but this is also what I like the most. So do I pander to something that gets me the most followers or clicks or whatever, or do I do what I actually care about and project myself to these two audiences? And that's the choice I made, But I don't know. Do you guys actually hate the Giants, or do you just...
Actually, quick story, like the coolest thing that ever happened to me at any baseball game that wasn't like a playoff baseball game, but like just was when Eric Burns hit for the cycle in San Francisco.
Yeah.
And this is why it was cool. So my brother and I, like at the time, like the stadium was half Giants, half A's. It's always that way. It's some mix. It's a bunch of both.
Yeah.
And my brother and I were sitting, and it was really passive aggressive. Like in the first inning, this guy sitting next to us is like Jesse Foppert was pitching.
Oh man.
There's a blast from the past. And he was walking a lot of people, and he's all, throw strikes, Jesse, make him swing the bat or whatever. And then he's like, swing the bat. And my brother's like cheering, going, make sure you're swinging a bad pitch for this guy sitting next to me. And so the whole game, everybody's ribbing each other. And then at the end, Eric Burns comes up, and the dude looks and he goes, dang, if he hits a triple, he hits for the cycle. And so we're all looking around at each other, and then the next thing he hits a sinking line drive to center field, and the center fielder comes running in, and it takes this weird hop over his head. And then the whole place, like, it didn't matter which team you were, everybody just hopped up and like, run, because like we were going to see the cycle, you know. And we started high-fiving this dude next to us, who the whole game we've been talking smack to. And it's like a collegial thing.
Yeah.
I think for most A's and Giants fans, it's not like a blood sport. I mean, there are definitely people like
imagine,
that. Like,
and Jeff, I'm sorry to cut you off. Imagine, like, hypothetically, anytime there's talk of the A's realistically going to Las Vegas, and that's a whole separate conversation. But even if you're a Giants fan, and I have friends that are legitimate, and they grew up in the geography that would make them Giants fans. The one thing I don't like is out here in the East Bay, and I run across somebody who's like 12 years old wearing all Giants stuff. Like, what happened with you? Like, you were influenced off a couple World Series, whatever. Like,
you have to wonder about the parenting.
Yeah, right. But if somebody grew up on the peninsula or somewhere, it makes sense. But anyway, my point is, I don't. If you don't have this rivalry, Giants fans are going to find themselves very lonely very quick. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know the thought is, Giants will love it to be the only team in the market, but I don't actually think they will over time. But I also don't think that'll ever happen. So.
Yep.
Okay. See, Brodie, I've talked to you about this before. I am kind of that split capper of a guy here. I do lean towards more Giant. All right, go ahead. I've said this.
Sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
I've said this many times. I do lean towards more Giants. I love going to the Coliseum, though.
Yeah.
And I'll say, I'll root for the Giants. I'll root for the A's. My favorite player growing up, was Will Clark and Ricky Henderson. I can't pick a team.
Yeah.
89 was very, very tough for me. But
not for me.
It's such
not for me either. But I have some breaking news.
Ron is awesome, man. What's up?
I just got a text message from good old Sandlot Brian. And he
okay.
Sure that Brodie understands that he is getting a shirt.
Oh boy!
Nice.
And that NorCal Nodders is planning the bobblehead.
It's going to be the shortest. It's going to be the shortest bobblehead they ever make. It's going to be like 3 centimeters tall. But
I'm buying the shirt as soon as that shirt is unveiled. I am buying it. Just like when Casey Pratt's came out, I bought it.
I got
the same.
I'm making my head on Twitter.
I gotta figure out where the proceeds go to this one. I want. Does somebody have a good cause that we should benefit
Ron's
here?
4-year-old twins.
Oakland School for the Arts. Oakland School for the Arts.
The Jackson College Fund.
I'm gonna have 3 in school at the same time. Help me out.
Oh my gosh, man, Ron, how are you not like? I know you're kind of joking about that, but you're not. Like, someday you are gonna be. Like, they're going to all be in college. They're all going to be in high school at once. They're all going to be in college.
I'm working on the algorithm to hit the lotto. That's about my only chance at survival, or a meteor hit the earth. One of the two. Jesus come back. Something's got to happen.
Hey, how are the holidays with 3 kids of 4, 4, and 6 like that?
They think everything's for them.
Well, it is,
But my son's the only one that can read, so he's reading the names off. Like, that's not yours. That's not yours. But my girls are like, that's mine.
Got it.
Dad, can we have more Christmas?
So one older boy versus 2 younger girls.
Mm-hmm.
So you have like the age difference, and you have the gender. You have both genders, right? So do they? Is there ever teaming up? Is there ever like a little battle?
So it's Miles, Naomi, and Noelle.
Okay.
Noelle is about a ½ inch taller and 5 pounds heavier than Naomi.
Okay.
She's the most laid back.
Okay.
But she also has like a really short fuse. So Miles and Naomi are the same person.
Got it.
They might try to gang up on Noelle. And
those are all fantastic names, by the way.
Appreciate you. And she like marches to the beat of her own drummer. She's quiet, laid back. She sits and crosses her legs like total diva. But she will smack fire out of both of them. Does not play the radio. She'll let you get away with a little bit, and they're like, yeah, we're going to leave Noelle alone now.
I mean, as a dad, of course, you would have them all figured out, but I like the way you instantly are like, here's who they are, here's what they do. Man.
You got to referee them a little different. You got to coach them up a little different because it's 3 totally different personalities.
How did you have your son first and you didn't go with the name Brodie? It was out there, Ron.
It was right there for the taking.
It was out there for you.
You got to blame my mother.
Blame it on the wife, Ron.
You're going to blame my mother?
Yeah.
My mother about that.
Yeah, throw your wife under the bus. Great. Yeah, real. That's what I really want here.
Wife and mom, you go do that. And this is live, too. They're going to see this.
Oh, man. Oh, look, I also want to say this. I know it's getting later, and if any of you have to drop off, totally okay. I don't really intend to take this another, maybe 10, 15, 20 minutes or so, but I totally understand. I really appreciate everybody for being here. I hope people watching this are enjoying it, and I hope that this is the first of many of these. Anybody else have something they want to bring?
Go on. I got
an interesting story right quick.
Go ahead.
So I've probably been to a couple thousand A's games in my life. And I was about 11 or 12, and my buddy's mom comes. We're outside playing. I lived in a cul-de-sac in East Oakland, 20 blocks from the Coliseum. My buddy's mom comes out and was like, I got tickets for the game, but it's like 6 of us. Got 3 for today, 3 for tomorrow. I'm like, I don't have anything to do my homework, then I want to go today. Go to the game that day. Ricky got caught stealing twice. Next day,
I know what you're going to say.
Goes to the game, and he's got the commemorative plaque. And he's juiced up because Ricky broke the record that next day. And I'm still to this day so butthurt about that. It's like greater later, but I didn't stick to my gut. I knew I should have went the next day.
Hey, Ron,
that day.
Let me rub some salt in your wound, bro. Check this out. I got to skip school on the day Ricky broke the record. And I hit the jackpot. I was there holding up the bag.
Let me tell you this.
Today I'm the greatest.
Listen.
Yeah.
If I had known that in San Jose,
yeah, you would
rear naked choke at your apartment.
You know what?
Cut you out.
You know what's funny here? I finished my beer, but I think I was like, was I 20 or was I 21 when I had the apartment with my?
We're gonna say 21.
I was 21, and I was living with Brian, who also is a huge. He has his own YouTube channel. Brian Tong has a huge YouTube channel. He has hundreds of thousands of people on here. So he and I were living together at the Colonnade apartment right across the street from San Jose State. And I remember after our nights, Thursday nights, there would be like, hey, why don't you guys come across the street when we get done with this newscast production and we'll have some beers.
But set it up even more than that, because we get out of that class at midnight.
Yeah.
We got to be on the air the next day at 11.
Right.
We wasn't leaving Brodie's apartment until the sun came up. And still had to be live on the air the next day.
It's how I learned to host a show. It's really how I learned to host a show, because if you can do it on 2 hours of sleep and you know what, we were not drinking good beers back then. It was like here's a Coors Light, here's a Corona.
Get this Steel Reserve.
What's an IPA?
$1.87 of 40.
Yeah, no, that's 7-Eleven. That's 7-Eleven right across what was it, 7th Street, whatever it was.
Yes.
They were making a ton off of Brazil.
And there were no cameras back then too, so we didn't always pay for everything.
Thank God for that.
Am I in trouble? Is there a statute of limitations on?
Bro, it's 25 years ago, buddy. We good.
Thanks for reminding me. Yeah, man, it was back in the. So all I want to tell you about your Ricky story was also, I think that game, the first time, his first at bat, he walked, I want to say, but then did he get, or no, he couldn't get on base that day. There was something about that day too. Oh, and I think Lou Brock was there. It was the last game of a last game of a homestand, I think, and Lou wasn't going to travel so it had to happen that day. I forget exactly how it unfolded, but Ricky he either didn't have the chance to even get on base, or I think he got thrown out in the first time he tried to steal that day.
He definitely got thrown out
that day. I do remember
that.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think that's what it was. He got on base in his first at bat, got thrown out, and everybody was like, "Oh, no chance." And then he got to break the record. He stole third, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it was an unpredictable type thing. But sorry, man, I have the ticket and everything. So,
bro, I'm gonna fight you on the field.
I know. Hey, I'm blaming Ron. I won't see you for a decade. I'm blaming COVID for 10 more years. even when it's all over, I'll be like, no chance.
I got 13 boosters. It's good.
Oh man. Anybody got anything else?
Yeah, I just want to give a quick parenting tip since everybody's on here.
Sorry, go ahead first, guy.
Just a quick parenting tip for all you guys out there. We don't use the G word in my family. It's a bad word. So jumbo, enormous, extra large, all work in place of those SF G words.
The San Francisco Sizables.
Sizable.
San
That
Francisco
works
big
too.
people.
They say the G word. I go, what are you doing?
That's
all I want to throw in.
Good
Thanks,
tip,
Brodie.
guy. That's a life hack right there. Thank you for that. Grant, were you going to say something too, Grant?
Yeah, I was thinking about it, like, when y'all were talking about, like, growing up and being fans of these teams since, like, childhood, and, like, coming into this area as a transplant, and it's very rare that there's, like, dual teams, like, for sports in different markets. So here you have, up until recently, 2 teams in baseball and football. And so, like, people kind of find their groove, like, I'm gonna root for this team and this team, which is entirely separate from somebody else who down the street who roots for this team and this team. And, I found kind of a kinship amongst, like, A's and Sharks fans.
Mm-hmm.
You see that, much more frequently than, when I lived in San Francisco, and you see, like, all right, Giants and 49ers and Warriors, and they didn't even touch hockey or didn't even touch soccer. And it's really cool. You see, like, a lot of overlap, and a lot of people who appreciate that, it might be not necessarily the most popular team to root for in the area. Whereas, where I'm from, it's, there's one team and, for each sport, and that's your, funneled into. And so it kind of get to be a part of something instead of, it comes to you.
It's a great point. Christina, I have not heard from you in a while. You're paying attention. You're so, I want to hear from you.
I know. I was just thinking that, like, I also was, like, muted. I kept
It's
kept
okay.
myself muted. But it was just really entertaining to hear all the stories. And I will say, don't hate me. Don't throw anything. I'm definitely more on like Eric as well, where it's kind of like split cap. I know. I know. I grew up. So for one thing, like I said, when I was growing up as a kid in San Jose, of course, during Sharks were just starting there, my family wasn't really big on sports, but then they would just happen to get a lot of the sports memorabilia and shirts alike. So I don't question that. But my grandpa is a huge Giants fan. So I was, so that's where I'm like, okay, I'm going to be loyal to my grandpa. And so I honor him for the Giants. But, living here, I'm, living in the East Bay for over about 11 years now. It's like the A's are definitely more my vibe. And I think it's kind of like what, what was said earlier. It's just like the community and kind of like the excitement of, being at the Coliseum is just a completely different environment. It's kind of the same thing of like when you go to a hockey game. It's very different seeing it in person versus watching it on TV. Because I know when I've had friends like, come over and watch a hockey game, they're not following. It's kind of hard for them to really like get into it. But then when I take them to a game, they're like, this is so much fun.
Yep. I've said that for years, and Darren can attest to this too. We work so hard on the TV product, but we know, like, if you want to hook somebody, right, Darren, you got to take them to a game. Like they've got to see the physicality, they've got to see the speed.
Yeah, no doubt. Hockey is completely different and much better in person. It just isn't the same on TV. I've worked the games on TV. But it's true.
We feel guilty saying it, I know, but it's like, if we really want to hook you, but what we hope is that you go to a game first, then you're like, okay, I want to watch a little bit more. I want to listen to Randy Hahn and Brett Hedican, and what's the bald guy's name again, Darren? Dave Ray something. Dave.
Yeah, Ray. Yeah.
Yeah. He left for a while, and I don't know.
Yeah. I knew his name before he left, but when he left, I forgot it.
You got any Remenda stuff for us, Darren? You got anything? Any juicy stuff? I mean, I got some, but I want to know if you got some too.
Like inside poop on
So I'll reveal
he's a joker, and he loves his he loves his movie lines. He loves his Simpsons. He's just a joker. He and Randy would just they would talk on the air for like 3 hours, and we'd fly, and they'd be talking all night on the plane.
I know.
Like, oh my God, you guys.
Yep.
Mr. Clean and Han Solo. Mr. Clean and Han Solo.
Totally.
Drew loves his Pepsi. He also loves Daniel Craig, and he really wants to dress like Daniel. He wants to be like the James Bond of hockey broadcasters.
Yeah, he's a little too into his clothing.
Darren, in the old office we had, right, at SAP, like the old or the one prior to the one now, like he'd be in there ironing his shoes. Yeah, I've never seen a guy iron leather shoes, but he's in there ironing like before. I'm like, you're not going to see your shoes on the broadcast.
Irons everything.
Look good, feel good. I'm like,
wait, like really with an iron on shoes?
Oh yeah. I don't know how he didn't burn them. I don't know what he was doing.
What is the irony?
I know, Jeff. I can see your face. I know. I don't know what to tell you.
Never happened, Brodie. Come on.
He also ironed money. Like he would take. And by the way,
I know people that do that.
Do you really, Ron? But see, I don't even.
That's big in the hood.
Ron, do you carry bills?
We talking about back in the day, though.
Okay.
Like old school players, you had to take care of your money. Like literally, true story. I was maybe 14. This is no joke. My dad asked me for like change for a $10.
Yeah.
And I reached in my pocket and I put out a wad of money.
Yeah.
Told me to give it to him because if I didn't know how to take care of it, I didn't need it. So from this day on, you give me bills, they got to be facing the same way. Same denomination, biggest to shortest. That's just some old school players' way.
But I get that.
Keep it straight.
Yeah.
Everything had to be straight. If I give you $100 bill and you're gonna pay me back next week, give me $100 bill. Don't give me $250s. I don't want it.
And a crisp. And a crisp. Yeah.
If I give you a crisp $100, give me a crisp $100 back. Give it back to me the same way I gave it to you.
That's so funny. My dad was the exact same way.
Are you serious?
Yes. My dad, he was exactly the same way. Everything had to line up, and he would tell us the same exact thing. You don't know the value of a dollar.
I go to the bank right now. They give me my money. I look at them. Put my joint the right way.
Let's try that again. Here, give me that again. Oh my gosh. The one thing and you know what though, Ron, that's a great point. When you do get money, and I don't mean from the ATM, but I mean, and it's been a while for me from a person, right? But they do generally give you bills that feel like they've been taken care of, or they're
most
new.
of the time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
There is definitely something to that. And so Kate, it's an old school thing.
I think so. I mean, my dad was very much about you need to know the value of a dollar.
Yeah.
And if you don't, I'll take it from you. Because I know it.
I honestly, I do not know that I've had more than $20 of actual money in my wallet in maybe 3 or 4 years. I'm not even saying that in a prideful way. I'm just saying that like I Venmo people, I use my card. I just figured out Apple Pay during the pandemic because it's just like one less thing to touch. I don't have to, I just put it right next to something, you know?
Harder than me.
It's probably better because money is dirty. I worked at the bank and I had to count ATMs. And it's just dirty, nasty, slimy, ew.
Well, and it's like, do you think money is germy? I don't want to get too gross.
Yeah.
It is, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that in 2021. If I was working at Wells Fargo now, oh no.
Yeah.
I
couldn't pay me to put my hands on that money.
I get that money as hotel shuttle tips, so I have no choice. I have to take cash when I get my tips when I drive the hotel.
You're probably like, oh, okay.
I wear gloves at work. I wear gloves at work now on purpose because I just not good.
Mm-hmm.
Good. You know,
people are nasty.
I don't. And Will, like to you, right? That might, somebody would say, why is this guy wearing gloves? But as many people as you deal with coming in from all places of the country and world, and you're just trying to like show up to work I know some people would say that's taking it too far. For me, that's not taking it too far to wear gloves.
Like when I work the desk itself, I'm good. I sanitize repeatedly, so I don't have any gloves, but I'm driving the van.
Carrying luggage, helping people out. Yeah.
I have to. I just worry. In fact, I see my family enough because I live in Dublin. They live in Pleasant. So I see them all the time.
Yeah.
See my dogs, everything else. I want to make sure they're taken care of. I don't want to risk anything with them. So I'm very cautious on that.
Yeah. Well, even pandemic or not, even when it was just gross to, like,
I mean, that too. Yeah.
Like, it's amazing. I was telling my wife earlier today, we were talking about, in the good old days of like, somebody came to work once and got all of us sick. And it was like, okay, that stunk. It just happened. But now if that happened, I'd be like so upset that you knowingly came here. You knowingly were like, I don't feel good. And next thing I can't even talk, because I'm so congested. But anyway. All right. How about this? Maybe we go one more time around the horn. Literally, if everybody can just make a final comment in 20 to 30 seconds, and then we'll call it a night. I don't want to keep everybody up too late. You guys up for that?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. All right. So
I wanted to. Oh,
go ahead, Kate.
Well, because it kind of ties in with what everybody was saying, so I was going to reveal a family secret.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, yes.
So we moved to California in '75, and my dad was a National League fan.
Oh.
And so we went to a bunch of Giants games, and Willie McCovey was my favorite. But I will tell you that my dad never felt more part of the organization than he did with the A's.
Yeah.
In all of he just felt that the fans, the organization, the folks in the booth, that there was just such a good, strong feeling of community. So, I was just going to say how grateful I am to that. And, and just, he really felt the best working with the A's.
When I got to tell you, he had gigantic shoes to fill because Roy Steele had been there literally since the beginning. And Roy and your dad had different voices, right? Roy was more like God was like boomy, and your dad was more like I feel like I know this guy. He had the more friendly, comfortable like delivery and tone. Anyway, long story short, the fact that he came in there and took over for the only person who'd ever done that, and it was seamless, and people enjoyed it, and people and he already had decades of recognition. He was the perfect guy for the job. And actually, Amelia, who does it now, I've known her for a while, and I'm just so thrilled that somebody young, I mean, again, impossible, like your dad had impossible shoes, so does she. But I love the fact, and I love the way that she's kind of jumped in this and tried to, take the reins, take the impossible reins. So
she is great and has become a good friend throughout this. And she is buena gente. She's good people.
That's great to hear. Yeah, I mean, again, it's one of those things where you'd be like, "Do you want to do this job?" Yes. Oh, do you know what you're getting into? Oh, how would you even, if they said, "Brodie, would you like to do this?" I would say, "No." I don't want. That's like, how do you follow that up? Honestly, that's
very kind.
I thought it was pretty cool because Dick's 1,000th game with the A's was turned out to be Mike Fiers' no-hitter.
That's right.
Yeah, it was.
Look at Darren. See, Darren, see that? Like, if there's one thing that sums up Uncle Darren, that was it, right? Like, that was it.
You get paid by each stat, though, right, Darren? I hope.
I spend far too much time doing it for nothing.
If you want to know what Darren does best, you just witnessed it right there. Like, he did that for our little stream here, but that's what he does as a job. So,
and is there a website involved?
Is it?
The lights went out that night too.
Yes, they did.
That's right.
Yes,
there was an hour plus the light delay. You're right.
Yeah.
We were doing the pregame show, or we had to come on, I think, during the delay. Like, we don't even know if this thing will finish.
That's exactly right. We thought, well, we're not going to get this game in, are we? They're not going to get the lights back on. They're so old,
5.
Yeah. It was against the Reds, right, too? What a weird, just whole weird. Against the Red, interleague against Cincinnati. I think it was just a 2-game series, maybe, or
2-game set.
Yeah, it was weird.
Oh no, it was a 3-game set because Fiers the Scotty walk-off and we had a day game, I believe.
Of course, you know what? See, here's the difference between me and Will is I work these games and I bring them in, I work hard, and then I flush them out. Will never forgets them. Like, Will is...
Hey. Pleasanton guy, it's a walk-off home run. I'll never forget that either. P-Town, baby, let's go.
Yeah, that's right, man.
Oh,
yeah.
That's right. Hey, Piscotti says he's doing a winery, and he says he's got some bottles of wine for me now. So, he made them. So I'm like,
hey, I'm a wino, bud. Sign me up. I'll test it for you. How's that sound?
I like what you
let's
said.
Do that one live.
Yeah. No, Ron, let's do the next day live. How Brazil's
for both.
All right, let's go around the horn. Like, let's do, like I said, 20, 30 seconds. Anything you want to say or plug at the end, and Will, I'll begin with you.
I just want to thank, Kate, thank you so much for your dad and everything else. He gave us all the years. I got to do PA announcing for about a half inning with him, nicest man in the world, and it's still one of the greatest things I ever got to do. And I just want to tell you, that, as best as I can in person to you, that was one of my greatest feels of my life. And he meant so much to me with the Warriors and the A's growing up. Just for letting him the spot, for giving his voice to the Coliseum and everything else. We can't thank you enough.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. You said it well, Will. And you know what, Kate, I got the chance to do it for a TV segment in like the early 2010s, and the A's, and he helped me talk me through doing 3 batters. And unfortunately, I wanted like a long inning. I wanted the chance, but he's like, well, he goes, after it was a 1-2-3 inning, he looks at me and goes, well, I guess you're not coming back to do this ever again.
I got 6. I was pumped. I had 6 batters.
Right.
Thrilled.
You kind of
my first batter was a home run. It was Ramon Laureano.
Oh, so man. But what a like, you got to see what he did, though. What a thrill to like get your voice out there to everybody. So that was well said.
My daughter got to do it.
Nice.
I remember that.
Yeah.
And that half inning got me to do a Banner Island ballpark so many games here now. So it actually got me a stock to doing PA announcing.
Nice.
Will's his big break.
Right.
Oh yeah.
All right, Aaron, the floor is yours.
Just want to say thanks for organizing this. It's been really fun, just like connecting with other fans. And I'm not shy on Twitter. I actually think I'm very funny. So,
What's your where can we follow you, by the way?
You can follow me at Aaron_is_tweeting. I've had that handle since like the beginning of Twitter. Not even sure why it still exists, but I am very deep in hockey Twitter. So like I love baseball. It's my first love, but I'm very deep in the hockey Twitter. So they're just more combative, you guys. Like I'm just here for it.
Good stuff. Darren.
Thank you, Brodie, for putting this together. And it was nice meeting all of you. Eric, I know that you and I have interacted some on Twitter. It was nice to actually meet you, at least in this form. So it was nice, a nice experience. Thank you, Brodie.
Hey, you got it. And at Shark Stats, it's Shark Stats, I know, Darren, but honestly, you're going to get a wealth of all information on there. I know you play to the moment on your Twitter too. So honestly, I literally use it as a resource while I'm doing shows sometimes. And you text me too, which is I do appreciate. But I'm checking your Twitter as much as anybody else. Grant, it's been a while since we heard from you, but I'll give you your final word.
Just want to say thank you, and just enjoy connecting with other folks. But I want to say that my thoughts on sports as kind of a whole is that I always feel that teams are pillars and representatives of their communities. Like Sharks are representative of Bay Area hockey, A's are representative of East Bay baseball. And one of the things I love the most about the A's is that the fans chant "Let's go Oakland" rather than the franchise. They're chanting the town. And you don't find that in a lot of other places, and it's so wonderful to hear.
Yeah, I never thought about that. It's
no one else says that.
Even the Sharks are "Let's go Shark," but it's Oakland. You're right. There is something about that. Well said, Grant, and best of luck to you on your young child and the one on the way. That's awesome.
I got multiple bags under my eyes into the way too.
Speaking of been there, done
when they sleep.
Been there, done that. Ron, you're up next, man. Final word.
Mr. Grant, sleep when they sleep. Whatever has to get done, that'll get done when they woke. When they sleep, get that rest.
True.
That's big. But I'm just a little guy from Oakland, USA, and it's good to talk to other people who like teams from where I'm from. So. Shout out to you, my good friend Brodie, for putting this together. Great meeting y'all, and I look forward to getting to know y'all as the days go by.
Hey, and Ron, when the time is good and the time is right, man, I'll see you out at the Coliseum. We'll make it. We'll make a special occasion out of it.
You already know it.
I was gonna give you the whole meet and greet with Bob Melvin, but we'll see it. We'll see if Mark Kotze will honor the
I have his batting stance down by then too.
Yeah, there you go. Jeff, it was a pleasure talking to you a bunch tonight. Final comments.
I don't really have any other than you guys are awesome. Thank you for being on with me. And go A's.
Well said. I'll see you at Howard Terminal, Jeff.
You'll see me a lot before that too.
Yeah, well, somewhere in this decade, we'll actually do this in person at Howard Terminal. Christina,
sure.
Christina, your final comments and thoughts.
Thanks, Brodie, for organizing this and having this opportunity to connect with other folks in the community for both sports. Also with, as I mentioned earlier at the beginning of I was about to say podcast, at the stream.
Same thing.
Same thing. With the Olympic cycle coming up, check out our curling club, Bay Area Curling, on all of the platforms. We'll do lessons and everything galore. And then Jim.
If any of you are casual listeners to podcasts, we have an amateur hockey podcast, Let's Face Off. It's a newer podcast that we started this last season's ending and have had a few guests like a friend of the program, Randy Hahn. So we'd love to see you out there and hear your comments on all of the platforms.
I've heard of him before. He's kind of famous.
Yeah, sort of famous.
Awesome. And Christina, can you tell us the camera seems like the hair is teal from like the shoulders down. That's not green, right?
It's teal.
Okay.
It's a little faded now. But,
no, well, the camera, right? Like video, you know what I'm saying? Like that's I'm good either way. You know that. But I like what you've done there.
Well, thank you.
Is that a regular thing?
No, definitely let's color my hair during the pandemic kind of thing. So.
Well, if any of you remember what I used to look like as of last April, I had my own experimentation.
Brodie locks.
Ron, what did you? Okay, never mind. All right, that's what you thought of it. I recorded a video earlier today. I took 100 pictures from the last 2021 where I had the hair until April, and I was shocked. Honestly, I forgot about it, but as soon as I saw these pictures, I was like, "What the hell was I doing?" Next pandemic, I'm going to shave it. You're right.
Don't say next pandemic.
Next pandemic.
Next pandemic. What are you?
Stop that.
It's like, what did you just say?
What are you on right now?
That's one double IPA did that to me, Ron. Just one.
Have mercy. Definitely gonna need that wine tasting live.
No. Sip and spit, right? Sip and spit. Awesome.
Bald is beautiful, Brodie. Bald is beautiful. Come on now.
Guy, your final comments, and please, where can we appreciate your work? By the way, where can people see it?
So you can check me out on all platforms at Guy Slawinski. And then if you want to buy any prints or stickers from me, I sell them at guyslawinski.com.
Cool.
Much appreciated. And then also, I just want to thank you for having me on and with this great group of guests. This is awesome. Cheers to everybody.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Much appreciated. And also, if you guys don't see me, I'm at a lot of Barracuda games. I go to a lot of A's games. So don't be shy. I love meeting people, talking to people. And I might even have a free sticker for you. So
nice.
If you see me, come say hi.
Nice. I know Guy Haberman. I know a lot of you know him in the broadcast world, but he was the first guy that I ever met, like guy named Guy. And I know people probably say,
not a lot of us.
Hey, Guy, it works, right? So
it works great. Yes, it's an easy one to remember. I tell everybody, like, if you can't remember my name, it's like, what was that guy's name? It's Guy. There you go.
Nailed it.
It was a pleasure to meet you virtually like this, Guy. I've seen your work on social, and I think it's very cool. And those magazine covers are awesome. So
I appreciate it.
Well
Thanks
done.
So much.
Keep it up, and I hope you don't have too many new ones to make, if you know what I'm saying. All right, Eric, your final comments.
Well, first off, thank you for having me on.
Absolutely.
Like Darren said, it's the first time we got to kind of chat virtually and put a face to the Twitter handle. You can always find me on YouTube at Tealtown USA. We're one of, we started I think like the second Sharks podcast out there. Now it's just blown up to everything, which is cool.
Yeah.
We go live after every game, and if not, then I'm usually at the tank. So come and say hi. It'll be great to keep growing the game. And of course, Brodie, you were like one of our first guests way back in 2015 after like a random, I said, Brodie, any chance? I know you're off tonight. It's a national game. You want to jump on? And 3 hours later, you were still talking to us online on YouTube, which, so I appreciate your support for our little thing that we got going on the YouTube channel. So thank you, bud.
Absolutely. And you know what? I think it's cool that the Sharks have, over the years, they've realized that more people, more platforms are out there. I know they have specifically carved out some access for you guys, which I think is great. They recognize you and the hard work you put in. So you great, AJ, your colleague, Felix, great. You yes. Great, AJ. I'll leave it at that.
He's going to kill us now.
Kate, last word goes to you. And again, of all the people here, I was, just like I said, hadn't had the chance to meet you before this, and it was a thrill. So your final comments and thoughts.
I am just gratitude. I'm really just so appreciative. I'm appreciative of being welcomed here, welcomed by A's Twitter, and just how grateful I am about how my dad was viewed, and how I give you this again, Brodie.
It's okay. I deserve it, and I'll take it because I get it. I totally get it.
Those are my final thoughts.
Hey, Brodie, real quick.
Yes.
I'm super grateful.
That dude on the Twitter comment said you went from boomer to zoomer. You have made it, my friend.
I guess that's probably it. Like honestly, Ron, I never thought I'd be doing Zooms like this, but I kind of like. Now, I think there are some things I could do to maybe next time we try this with another group of people. And by the way, you guys are always welcome back. You guys were the first. You guys were the first, but I kind of want to try this maybe monthly or every couple weeks.
Yeah.
I do think it works. I think I need to, again, I mean, look, we've been streaming. We're not going to hit the 2 hour mark here, but we're almost there. I want to tighten it up a little bit. But I also want to make it free flowing, and I don't want to talk. I want you guys to talk. This is why we're here. So, but you guys were all great. I'm going to stop the live broadcast. Can I just say thanks so much to all of you? It was really cool. And you know what? In the words of Dick Callahan, drive home safely. All right, everybody. I'll talk to you later. I'll keep the Zoom on here, but I'm going to sign off.